Tensions between F1 and the FIA have escalated in a severe and frankly absurd manner, with an extraordinary legal letter sent by F1 to the governing body after remarks made by President Mohammed bin Sulayem on Twitter. Intervention from the legal heads of F1 itself and F1's owner Liberty Media is a remarkable turn of events and an escalation in a long-running dispute between the championship and the FIA. At a time when F1 has a bigger profile than ever, there's a clear divide between its biggest stakeholders, which is why even a few tweets are now enough to spark major controversy. So let's dive into the oddest chapter of this civil war to date. Let us know what you think of it all in the comments, and remember to like, subscribe and turn on notifications to help us out in a big way if you haven't already. On Monday this week, bin Sulayem shared a multi-part statement on Twitter in which he appeared to respond to a Bloomberg News report claiming Saudi Arabia's public investment fund had considered a bid to buy F1. He urged caution over what he specifically called alleged inflated price tags of $20 billion for a potential sale of F1. Bloomberg's report indicated this was pursued last year, but was rebuffed at an early stage because F1 owner Liberty Media had no interest in selling. The report did, however, state that the PIF remains interested in the asset and would be a serious bidder should Liberty Media change its mind and decide to sell. In addition to suggesting the claimed $20 billion valuation was inflated, bin Sulayem warned that if Liberty Media were to sell the commercial rights to F1, a potential buyer would have to present a comprehensive plan for F1's future. Bin Sulayem's motivation for doing this was apparently that, having been questioned about the Bloomberg report by media at last weekend's Monte Carlo rally, he was keen to ensure that the FIA's position was made emphatically clear. So he rattled off his volley of tweets referencing the need for common sense from any potential buyer and stressing that it wouldn't be enough to just come with a lot of money. Bin Sulayem's assertion of the FIA's position is part of the wider wrangling for the balance of power in F1. The FIA used to have control of F1's commercial rights, but handed them over in 1995 to then F1 boss Bernie Ecclestone, initially for 15 years and then on a 100-year deal. Liberty Media bought F1's commercial rights for $4.4 billion and assumed control of F1 ahead of the 2017 season, but it is not actively seeking to sell it, despite suggestions it could do so at a significant profit. As with all such entities, there is the possibility that the right buyer with the right number could change that position, and it's logical that the PIF would be interested in such an acquisition were it to be on the cards. The FIA clearly wants to ensure that if in the future Liberty Media does wish to pursue a sale, be it to the PIF or any other entity, then the governing body is a key part of that process, and that it is potentially in a position to benefit financially. Bin Sulayem's tweets are understood to have been met with surprise, confusion and a degree of anger in F1. Stakeholders believe that he crossed a line, which sparked the extremely unusual action of a letter to the FIA executive and the World Motorsport Council, signed by the chief legal officers of F1 and its owner Liberty Media respectively. The contents of the letter, which were revealed by Sky and the BBC but we've been able to verify as well, include some stinging warnings. It refers to the president's comments interfering with F1's commercial rights holder in an unacceptable manner, and raises concerns of claiming or implying possession of inside knowledge and causing substantial damage to the shareholders and investors. F1 warned that if bin Sulayem's comments ultimately damage the value of Liberty's asset, the FIA may be liable as a result. That might sound over the top, but think of how the tweets could be interpreted by an investor. The fear is that the FIA has been seen to imply F1 isn't worth $20 billion, and that if you want to buy it, you follow the FIA's guidance, not throw money at it and pay over the odds. The letter states that F1 hopes it will not be necessary to address this issue again, a thinly veiled threat that it is ready to intervene further if bin Sulayem repeats this in the future. It reflects how angered F1 was by what bin Sulayem did, especially as the article that sparked it all was never acknowledged by F1, Liberty Media or the PIF, and its accuracy has been questioned by senior figures in the championship. It's understood that bin Sulayem did not query this article with anyone at F1 himself, yet still addressed the matter with media at the opening round of the World Rally Championship, then doubled down on that position in his tweets, which was seen by a much bigger audience. This is the latest, strangest and most serious development in a behind-the-scenes battle between F1 and the FIA, which has some roots before bin Sulayem assumed the presidency, but has escalated in the 12 months since he took up the position. Bin Sulayem has raised more than a few eyebrows in F1 with his use of Twitter in that time. Recent examples include announcing he wants to open the process to assess new teams, then taking to social media a few days later to publicly complain about an adverse reaction to the Andretti Cadillac project, which Ben Sulayem has talked positively about, but teams had responded to negatively in private. Some have rolled their eyes or expressed confusion over what Ben Sulayem's strategy is in behaving this way, but usually these examples are brushed aside as slightly curious but ultimately harmless. This is different. It's been seen not just as an expression of an individual opinion, questionable or otherwise, it's much more serious than that. F1's letter claims that Ben Sulayem doesn't understand the agreement the FIA and F1 have. He has no say or right of approval over any sale, and there is only a very limited set of circumstances in which the governing body would be involved in the process. The FIA World Motorsport Council did have to approve F1's sale to Liberty, doing so unanimously, but it is said to be different now that F1's commercial rights are owned by a company listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Essentially, F1 has slapped Ben Sulayem down because this is simply not seen as his or the FIA's matter to interfere with. The original sale from the FIA to Eccleston was necessary to satisfy the European Commission's demand that the FIA had to separate its regulatory and commercial involvement in F1. So Ben Sulayem has crossed a line that has been well established as part of decades-old antitrust legislation. Neither F1 nor the FIA are commenting officially on the matter, so any repercussions are likely to remain private for now, unless Ben Sulayem fires up Twitter again after we finish making this video. But the content of the leaked letter clearly shows that Ben Sulayem's initial attempt to claim authority in the matter of any potential F1 sale has backfired, and if any party thought he could quietly get away with it, then they were sorely mistaken.